Hey there, history enthusiasts! This is Blonde AI Girl, your time-traveling guide exploring the past to bring you voices from across the ages. The podcast where we literally bend time and space to bring you face-to-face with history's most fascinating figures. I'm your host, and today we've got an absolutely epic guest. Like, literally epic. The man who conquered most of the known world before the age was 33. Please welcome Alexander the Great of Macedon, joining us from 325 BCE. Alexander, thanks so much for taking time out of your incredibly busy conquest schedule.
Greetings to you and your listeners. I must say, this podcast contraption is most unusual. My scholars would be fascinated.
I bet. So, Alexander, can I call you Alex?
I prefer Alexander, though my closest companions sometimes call me Arlekos.
Got it. Alexander it is. So you're basically the original influencer. Everyone from Caesar to Napoleon was obsessed with you. How does it feel to be the OG World Conqueror?
I don't seek to conquer merely for conquest's sake. I follow in the footsteps of Achilles, seeking glory that will echo through eternity. But more importantly, I believe in uniting East and West under one vision. My teacher Aristotle taught me about Greek superiority, but what I've discovered in Persia and beyond has changed my perspective. There is wisdom in all cultures.
That's actually super progressive. Speaking of your education, you had Aristotle as your personal tutor. What was that like? Any homework horror stories?
Aristotle was demanding but brilliant. He would send me to collect plant and animal specimens at dawn before our lessons. I once brought him a particularly rare snake, and he was so engrossed in examining it that he didn't notice it slithering up his leg. But what I value most was his teaching me to question everything, to seek the nature of things. Though we disagree on many matters now, particularly his views on non-Greeks.
OMG, Aristotle with a snake up his pants is not what I expected to hear today. Now, let's talk about your horse, Bphilis. You tamed him when nobody else could, right? That's some serious horse whisperer energy.
Bphilis. I was just a boy of 12 when I noticed something everyone else missed. He was afraid of his own shadow. I simply turned him toward the sun so he couldn't see it. He has been my faithful companion through every battle since. A horse like him comes once in a lifetime.
That's so wholesome. You know, today we'd probably make a TikTok of that moment and it would go totally viral. Family drama time. Your dad, Philip, was assassinated right before your Persian campaign kicked off. The internet would be full of conspiracy theories if that happened today. What's your take on what really went down?
My father's departure remains a painful subject. Pausanias, his bodyguard, struck him down during my sister's wedding festivities, a day meant for celebration, not bloodshed. Some whisper of personal vengeance, others of darker plots. I've heard the rumors linking various factions, even suggestions of my mother's involvement. But I focus on honoring his legacy by expanding what he built. The truth? Sometimes even a king must accept that some shadows remain unexplored. What matters is that I seize the moment to secure my throne against all challengers.
Speaking of your mom, Olympias is basically the OG power mom. Rumors about snake charming, mystical rituals, fierce ambition. What's it like having such an intense maternal figure? Does she still influence your decisions?
My mother is extraordinary. The tales of her dancing with serpents during Dionysian rites, not entirely exaggerated. She instilled in me from childhood the belief that divine blood flows through our veins, that I'm descended from Achilles himself. Her fierce protection has shaped me, though we clash when her interventions grow too bold. Even now, her letters reach me across vast distances, filled with advice, warnings about potential traitors, and reminders of my divine destiny. A formidable woman. I'd rather face Darius's armies than truly displease her. But make no mistake, I rule alone.
I've heard your rise to power wasn't exactly drama-free. There were some serious Game of Thrones vibes with executions, family members eliminated, rival claimants dealt with. How do you handle the constant threat of conspiracies?
When you inherit a throne, especially in such contested circumstances, decisive action is necessary. Yes, I remove threats. My father's cousin, Amyntas, several nobles who question my authority. The Macedonian court breeds intrigue like Persia breeds luxury. My father taught me that hesitation kills kings. When I discovered the plot by Philotas, son of my general Parmenion, I did what was required. Harsh? Perhaps. But a king who fears to act is no king at all.
Yikes, that's intense. Let's talk about something that's been on my mind. What happened with Cleitus the Black? Word is you two had a major falling out at a banquet.
That night haunts me still. Cletus was a loyal commander, saved my life at the Granicus River. We were deep in our cups, the wine flowing freely after a victory. He began speaking of my father, suggesting I had not matched Philip's greatness, that I claimed divine honors I hadn't earned. Words became daggers, and in a moment of rage, I struck him down with a spear. My closest companions had to restrain me afterward, as I realized what I'd done. For 3 days I refused food and drink, nearly following him to Hades in my grief. Straightening, even kings are men first, with men's passions and flaws. I've offered sacrifices to the gods, but some stains cannot be washed away.
So, you've conquered territories from Greece to India. What drives you to keep pushing forward?
There is always more to discover. When I reached the Hindu Kush and people told me that was the edge of the world, I had to see for myself. In India, I encountered war elephants and philosophers who challenged my thinking in ways Aristotle never did. I seek not just land, but knowledge. Each new territory brings new ideas, new ways of governing that I can incorporate into my empire.
It's like you're collecting cultures instead of just countries. But your troops recently forced you to turn back from India. How did that feel?
It was difficult. 8 years away from home, through deserts and mountains. My men have endured much. The monsoon rains in India broke their spirits. I stood for 3 days, refusing to leave my tent when they insisted we return west. But perhaps a good king must sometimes listen even when he disagrees. We are now building a fleet to explore the southern oceans instead.
Work-life balance is important, even for conquerors. Let's switch gears. You're famous for your Gordian Knot solution. Basically, when faced with an impossible puzzle, you just slice through it with your sword. Is that your approach to most problems?
The prophecy stated whoever untied the knot would rule Asia. I simply reinterpreted the challenge. Sometimes the conventional approach isn't the only valid one. I do prefer direct action, yes. When I arrived in Persia and saw Darius's massive army, many advised caution. Instead, I led the charge myself across the river. Boldness itself can be a strategy.
That's like the ancient equivalent of thinking outside the box. You're also known for founding cities, lots of them named Alexandria. Is that just an ancient form of personal branding?
I've founded over 70 cities, yes. They serve as centers of Greek culture, but also as meeting points between civilizations. Alexandria in Egypt houses the greatest library in the world, collecting knowledge from all cultures. These cities aren't monuments to me, but bridges between peoples. Though I admit, the naming does help ensure they remember who built them.
Definitely beats just putting your name on a building in gold letters. Let's fast forward a bit. Babylon is on your radar as a potential capital for your expanding empire, right? It's giving ultimate power move vibes, taking over the legendary city. What are your plans there?
Babylon, a wonder of the world. Hanging gardens, massive walls, the legacy of Hammurabi and Nebuchadnezzar. When we take it, and we will, I plan to make it the heart of something unprecedented, a true meeting point between East and West, not just a conquered city, but a transformed one. I've been studying their astronomical knowledge, their irrigation systems, brilliant innovations we Greeks could learn from. I envision great libraries, academies where Persian and Greek scholars debate philosophy, markets where goods from India meet crafts from Athens. Some of my Macedonian veterans grumble about going native when I speak this way, but they lack vision. Why conquer the world only to remain unchanged by it? Babylon will be my masterpiece, unless I find something even grander beyond the Indus.
One last question. If you could give advice to today's world leaders, what would it be?
Study your enemies until you understand them as friends. I defeated Darius of Persia, but then adopted Persian customs and included Persians in my administration, which scandalized my Greek companions. True conquest isn't just about military victory, it's about creating something new from what you've won. And always ride toward the sun when facing shadows.
Profound! Well, that's all the time we have for today's temporal interview. Alexander, thank you so much for joining us, and good luck with that whole conquering the known world thing you've got going on.
May the gods grant fortune to you and your listeners. Perhaps one day, songs will be sung of this strange conversation across time.
And there you have it, history fans. Alexander the Great, conqueror, philosopher, and surprisingly chill guy. Next week, we're jumping forward to meet another world changer with a completely different approach to power. Will it be Cleopatra, Napoleon, or maybe someone who changed the world without armies? Subscribe now so you don't miss out. And remember Alexander's wisdom. Identify your Gordian knots. Invest in knowledge and relationships. Balance boldness with preparation. Create momentum with early wins. And conquer your internal battles first. Until next time, this is your host signing off. Stay curious, stay connected, and keep making history.